What's up, family? Time for Real Talk Tuesdays. I have a special guest. This is my sister, my road dog, my ace boon coon. Um, we grew up together in East San Jose, California. Man, I've gotten in so much trouble as a kid because of this young lady.
Oh my God.
Oh man, we were road dogs. We got in a lot of trouble together. This is my sister Kathy. Um, what's good with you?
It's good. Yeah, until you get me out of this wilderness here.
Kathy lives in North Carolina, and I got her out at this park out here, Sand Lee Park. And she don't like bugs and creepy crawlers and all that. And I was just laughing at her. It's like, how you live out here in the country, and you scared of these creepy crawlers, but you don't spend so much time in EPA, East Palo Alto, and in the hood, where folks are killing each other. And you cool with that, but you get out here in God's country, and
No, that's what I could afford.
you traumatized by these little creepy
I sure
crawlers.
am. I sure
So,
am.
um, I was talking to her husband. Was it this morning? And I explained it to him. One of the situations I remember the most from my Uncle Ben whipping me. And Cat came out and saw that. Talk to us, Cat. What?
Uh, John got in trouble like he did since he has been on this earth. I don't know what he did that day, but my stepfather got fed up. I think this was the first time he tried to whoop any of us, and he picked this one. And he went and told him to come, or he came into the family room where Elijah was, and started trying to whoop him. And he was laughing while he was trying to whoop him because he's a teenager now. Like, I don't know what he thought he was gonna do, but anyway, he tried to whoop him. I came out the room because I heard some skirming and laughing come out, and I died laughing because that man was wearing himself out, and Elijah was just standing there, just taking it and laughing, and he got so mad he threw the belt down and just went on about his business. I mean, he couldn't see Elijah at that point. I mean, Elijah was, already used to getting whoopings. So what he brought to the table was no match for him. He had already been through it all. So but that was a funny story. To this day, we just crack up every time because I can just still see how Elijah was looking in the face, laughing, and how my stepfather was so frustrated because he couldn't get to him. He couldn't hurt him. He couldn't do none of that. And so that was the first time I ever seen anyone give up the belt and just was done with it.
My uncle, my uncle Ben was like 6'4", 6'5", big dude, big country guy, and I was just in high school. But man, I was done. I was always rebellious for some reason, and it's just I hated being told what to do and what I couldn't do, except for my Aunt Curlin. Man, she was a thug for real. You know what I mean? This was before there was thugs. When she grabbed the belt, man, she put in work. And it wasn't just standing there. You was gonna feel it. You was gonna feel all her pain, everything. And she was real with the belt. Kat and I, we grew up together, and we went through a lot of things, that was traumatic, and we sit back and we talk about them now, and some of the things we're able to laugh at, and some of the things, you can still hear the pain, you know, and yet through it all, we're still here, through it all, we survived all that we've gone through, just trying to find our way in life, and just the abuse that we endured, a lot of it physical, a lot of it emotional, um, just the religious stuff that was thrown on our plates. Um, and this is back in the 70s when you could beat the snot out of your kids,
And don't go to jail for
yeah.
it.
Um, but that's what made us who we are today. That's what gave us the resilience of being able to go through what we've gone through as adults and being able to like smile at it and laugh and like, man, this ain't nothing compared to where I came from. This ain't nothing compared to what I've gone through. And I'm so proud of this girl, that through all that she's gone through, she's still here, and she still has a beautiful soul, a beautiful heart, and that she hasn't allowed life and just the baggage and the hell that we've gone through to taint her soul and to make her bitter to the point to where she's distrusting and hateful and spiteful, you know, in spite of all the hell that we've gone through. Um,
I just think that we should be proud of each other, um, because growing up when we were young, and just not to try to put everything on you, but all the trouble, oh man, all the trouble, like, and nobody knew at the time, like that was PTSD, anger issues. They're being raised by my mother, who's not their parents. They knew who their parent, their mom and dad was, and so even though he was young, I'm sure he still did. He was what, two?
yeah,
2 years old when he came to live with my mom. So, they didn't know back then about back then the old school adults think that kids don't remember anything. Like, stuff can happen in your childhood and you're gonna forget it by the time you get grown. Well, that's not the case. That wasn't the case for us. Like, we remember so many things. I repeat things to my mom from time to time, and she's like, "You remember that? Like you were three." Like, I think I remembered it because um, so much stuff that was going on that was so dysfunctional, so traumatic for us little kids. Some things stayed in our minds, and some things we don't remember. I have, I don't know how many years of time. I don't even remember it. It's a blackout. I just don't remember what happened. But I know that there was a lot of dysfunction going on. I think I remember a lot of the bad. I remember the good too, but sometimes the bad, I guess, because it affects you the way that it does, and it makes you think the way you think about yourself or other people, and it kind of forms you into the person you become as an adult until you ask God to show you who you are and why you're the way that you are. And that's what I had to do. And it was a long journey. Um, I didn't start getting answers until almost 40, still working on things. Um, I thank God that I don't have, I'm trying not to have any resentments or, any bitterness in my heart. I don't feel it, but I know there is some things that I still have to work through. I have to reinforce to myself every day that I'm valuable and I'm enough for anybody that's around me. Um, One of the things that took shape with me is that I would give, because I knew that would make the person happy who's either asking for it or I just do it for them because their gratification in that moment is my gratification, temporarily. And not to say that I don't want to give. I was giving to people who I was chasing for a relationship. I don't want to speak on no names, maybe later, but they were important people to me. And so I knew, and they would just be real obnoxious with me, very cynical all the time. When I come around, it's almost like they don't want me around, but then if I don't come around for a minute, it's like, where you been? Like, it's just that emotional roller coaster that just have your mind messed up. Like, and if these people are doing it to you, then you don't expect respect or consideration from anybody else outside of your blood, and that I'm still working through because, well, I'll just say it's my parents. Well, my dad, he's better with it. My dad was always affectionate, but my dad was also an abuser to my mother, which caused, for us little kids to see that, messed us up too, but my dad would be affectionate, so you got that conflict within yourself. Like, I'm a daddy's girl, but at the same time, when he would come in and put his hands on my mother, it would horrify me, and my mom's telling me and my brother, or if Elijah and his siblings were there, they would run to the room. We all had to run to the room, like my dad was just gonna, but he never touched us kids. He never touched us kids, but he touched us emotional and mentally because of what he was doing to the person that was raising us. And so we just had a lot of trauma. Um, and you know, I'm still working through the ones with my parents. Uh, this one here, you know, we had a time where we were apart, but you know, I chalked it up as him. You know, we all trying to find our way. He went into the military, and we're just all trying to find our way. Once we got into the world, you know, we're taking that baggage with us. Don't know how to deal. You know, one little thing from one of us might upset them to the point it could be a petty thing, but that's their personality and that's how they deal with stuff. I was the you know the one that just wanted to feel loved by any one of my family members. You know, me and John was tight growing up, and it just was weird because he would always get me in trouble. Don't get it twisted. I was a good child until I let him get in my ear and talk me into things.
I
And
gave her a lot of adventure. I gave her a lot of fun, a lot of great memories. That
a lot of adventure, a lot of memories that led to some ass whoopings on the regular. And my mom, you know, she would tell me like, "Cat, I mean, you, why you keep on letting this?" But we were tight. You know, we're close in age. We were tight, and but you know, we had a lot of fun. I mean, we didn't have no fun when we was getting our asses whooped. But you know, we can look back on it now and just laugh about different things. But it wasn't funny at the time, and it wasn't just not funny because of getting your ass. It just wasn't a good time. You know, we were always told to stay in the house. We really couldn't go anywhere. So that's where we would get in trouble because he would talk me into going over here and butter me up. Well, if you do this with me, I'll do this with you, and then I never get to do what I wanted to do. He him up all the time because we're trying to schedule it to when mom's is gonna come home, and I never got to do what I wanted to do. But it's all good now,
she's still traumatized by that. Um, but it is, she had friends that she would come over, and she giving me that look. Because what she was talking about, this is what time we had, my aunt worked part-time job. She worked a full-time job and she worked a part-time job. And the part-time job was working for IRS or something during tax season. And she was gone, and we knew she wouldn't get home till like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we was like, okay, let's go to this girl's house and whoop de whoop. And Kat was like, but I want to go see my friend. And it's like, okay, well, let's go do this first. And then got over there and stayed later, and then we came back home. And she never got a chance to go see her friend. And man, her mom opened up the door, and our eyes was like deers in the headlights, because we was just like, we weren't expecting it at all. And man, we got the snot beat out of us behind that. And so at that point, it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing that no more. Cat got friends that come over here all the time, so. And so when she refers to me as John, it's still me. I legally changed my name in '95 from John to ElijahAmmi. So.
So let me say this real quick. So it's no disrespect to him, but I know John. John got me in a whole lot of trouble. Elijah, more wise, aware, and been through whatever he had to go through. But John, and so I slip and call him John because that's his name, And well, that was his name, and so. But I know John, so if you hear me call him John, slip and say that's who I knew, back then because the memories we have, John always got my ass whooped. So John's name is imprinted in my membrane, and it's not going nowhere. But he's a good dude.
And it's crazy because just our childhood, we didn't have that self-love. We didn't know how to love ourselves. We didn't know how to value and cherish ourselves. And even though our pain was different, even though we lived in the same household, it affected us totally different. But that area, as far as low self-esteem or not loving yourself, was impacted and imparted on every one of us, to where we were all chasing relationships. We all got in bad relationships, devastating relationships, just because we was looking for love in all the wrong places, because we never got love at home. We never felt love from family members. I mean, even our aunts and uncles, some of them was always speaking negative on us, was always telling us that we weren't going to amount to anything, was always telling us that we had the devil in us, was always telling us that we was gonna go to hell or go to prison, or
Yeah.
we were gonna be, just stupid stuff, And as young people growing up, excuse the noise in the background, but as young people growing up, man, that has such a devastating impact on us to where we started living our adult life and our young childhood life trying to find love. And the great thing about it, because I'm always the type of person I always want to find a lesson in it. I always want to find the positive in it. Was that it taught me how to love myself. All the people walking out of my life, all the heartbreaks, all the disappointments, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, it taught me how to find love within me. You know, it taught me how to have a relationship with God. Not religion. I'm not a religious person at all. We grew up in a religious household. We grew up in a, man, how would you say that? It was, you good. We grew up in a very religious, fanatically religious household. Everything was a sin. Birthdays was a sin. You know what I mean? We didn't celebrate Christmas because that was pagan. We didn't celebrate Easter because that was pagan. So it was all these different things that we couldn't do, because it was all a sin and we were all going to hell. And so we were deprived of all of that. And just growing up and trying to find our way in life, it taught us, that God wasn't in this man-made religion. God wasn't in what all these people were telling us, And so it taught us to seek God for ourselves. And it taught us how to love and appreciate and value who we've become. Because only by the grace of God that we turned out the way that we did. You know what I mean? None of us has ever been strung out on dope, None of us have been institutionalized because we've lost our mind. And there's been so many people that have lost so much more, that have gone through less than what we did, and they've lost it. They've committed suicide, they've strung out on dope, institutionalized now. And by the grace of God, we're still growing, and we have a desire to grow and to help other people.
For me, self-love for me is a daily reinforcement to myself, um, affirmations and stuff, because I still struggle from time to time. I've, you know, since I've been an adult, and been taking care of my children, working, I've met people along the way on jobs. A lot of, even my friends always would tell me, because one of my friends, I just started talking to her about things that I've gone through that they didn't even know, and I've known her for 20 something years, and she was like, "Oh my gosh!" Actually, she called me the next day. We had the conversation the next day. She called me and said, "All the years I've known you, like I didn't even know, because you always to us, you just look like a strong woman taking care of your kids." And my thing was always, that was always going to have to be my defense mechanism, because really, I'm a laid back type of lady. I don't like drama. I don't like conflicts. I don't like to get involved in that if I don't have to. So, a lot of the times I just worked hard. Um, I worked hard and always felt like I had to do way more than the next person, because already, I have this self-esteem issues. When you go on a job and they want you to sell yourself, it was very difficult for me to do that because of how I was feeling about my own self. Even though I know I can do a job. I know that I'm smart, but I could not communicate it because that would be giving myself some props that I could not do. And so, but God always sent me to places where the people would see. And one of the managers, I told him, I was like, I have the difficulties selling myself. I can show you better than I can tell you. And that was enough for him. So God will always lead you in a direction that you need to go. And as far as us, I think we all did pretty good. I'm sure that some of us have still got the journey to complete or get further along. Some of us, it was 5 of us, one of us passed away, but there's 2 more besides me and him And I don't know where they are in their journey. I don't talk about it. Certain actions and behaviors you can tell a little bit. But that's not for me to judge because I'm on my own and I'm still constantly trying to better myself. You know, feel better about who I am. I think that God did bless us because of the foundation. We talk about, or Elijah just talked about religion. Yeah, it took us to get older and read the Bible for ourselves to realize that a lot of things they were telling us is not in the Bible. It's man-made bylaws in the church. But the foundation of Christ and the relationship with Christ is the reason why I feel that we turned out as well as we did. We're not saying we're perfect. No, we're not perfect at all. But I think because of him, he helped us along to get through whatever we needed to get through. And so sorry, I thank God for that. But I mean, no matter what you go through, you know, you can come out of it. But you have to put your trust in God, and you may not come out of it the way you want to come out of it, but you'll come out of, as long as you listen and seek God first.
You know what? And wrap this up real quick. But that brings us to the point, and I stress this point a lot and all the time. We have to stop being so judgmental because you don't know what somebody's dealing with. You don't know the baggage that somebody's carrying. You don't know the trauma, the pain that's been inflicted on them. You know what I mean? And so when you start judging people and start putting them down because they're not where you think they should be at,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have a clue of what they're carrying, you don't have a clue of what the heck they don't went through, man, you know what? We got to do better. You know what I mean? We have to do better. And we have to just stop being so judgmental
Mm-hmm.
and just be more tolerant, more accepting, more embracing, more forgiving, more understanding of the fact that, hey, ain't none of us perfect. You know what I mean? We all have a cross to carry.
Yep.
Every single one of us have a cross that we have to carry. I love you guys. Happy healing.
Bye.
Peace.